All right, you guys, so we have Team Villain on blue side, captain by VN Captain. He's going to be taking over the third pick here, and the other three will be Freak, Swift, and Raven. And on red team, Captain, what is a wolf? He'll be banning as well. This is Team AMAM, by the way, followed by picks from Eric L, 85, Rare Candy, and Gross Pigeon. Gras Pigeois. Gross Pigeon also the second co-captain here for Team AMAM. We have 3 bans out thus far. Gragas and Galio taken out by VN Freak, and Ezreal taken out by What is a Wolf. You know, if Team Villain, it doesn't seem as though, and I wouldn't necessarily have expected them to be able to do the best bans against Team AMAM. I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase this. I wouldn't have expected them to have the most educated bans against Team AMAM, because Team AMAM hasn't really showed their face too much in Draft Labs. They're very, very precise on which champions they play, which champions they don't play, especially in the Open Lobby Series. They don't necessarily come out and just showcase their biggest strategies in the Open Lobby Series. And that being said, we also usually only get 1, maybe 2, maybe even 3 sometimes members of Team AMAM in our Open Lobby Series. So Team Villain, they didn't have much space to, in order to, they didn't have much there in order to do research, but what I can tell you is that the Gragas and the Galio are 2 bans that are a little bit surprising to me. Those are not the most strong champions, or they're not champions that Team AMAM are going to be going for. They're not champions that Team AMAM are really going to be wanting to get earlier on in this pick and ban phase. So the Xerath here as the 3rd ban from Team Villain is a good one, in my opinion. That's a champion that Team AMAM are definitely going to be looking to snag here. I would not be surprised if they are a little bit bummed that champion ended up getting taken out. But with the Gragas and Galio, that's 2 bans that really could have gone towards champions like Jinx, champions like, oh geez, there's so many. There's just so many champions like Kog'Maw, just so many of these power picks here for Team AMAM. So as of right now, not the best bans from Team Villain, but they're going to be looking to play their own play style, and I'm really excited to see how it fares up against Team AMAM. So the last 2 bans from AMAM, Vel'Koz and Blitzcrank. Yeah, I've said it many times. I've said it many times that I think that Blitzcrank will be the undoing of Team AMAM. If there's a game, there's one single game where, even if it's against one of those teams that aren't necessarily up there in terms of skill or you know, coordination and things like that, aren't necessarily up there with Team AMAM on that high horse, I think that Blitzcrank is the type of champion that can really take them down, you know, because Blitzcrank can win games. If it's played well, Blitzcrank can definitely win games right off the bat. So Blitzcrank was not a bad ban here for Team AMAM, because they just don't necessarily want to have to deal with it. And what this tells me, in my opinion, is that they might be going for some sort of off-brand composition for themselves. They might be going, well, never mind. What is it, Wolf? He locked in the Varus right off the bat. So we did have the first pick, Lux, coming in from Freak. You can see Lux's solo chart right now on our Style Stats Team Composition Strength Calculator. By the way, this is a radar chart that's producing 2 shapes, 1 for each squad. These shapes are going to help us compare the strengths of each squad as they're built based on these 6 criteria surrounding. We'll get more into it after all 8 champions are selected. For now, let's just get in all of the picks that we do see so far. So Freak was hovering over that Ziggs, ended up swapping over to the Lux, and now Team AMAM have jumped on the gun. They've jumped right into it, and they've snagged the Varus and the Ziggs. I mean, these are 2 just incredibly strong champions, and these are another 2 champions that definitely could have been traded out for the Gragas and Galio. Now, the Lux pick is one that I don't necessarily agree with in terms of being the first pick here with Ziggs open. I think with Xerath taken out and Ziggs open, Ziggs would have been the better idea as this single first pick from Team Villain. But Lux, she's up there in terms of the power. You know, she's up there. She's competitive with Ziggs. She just doesn't necessarily bring all the same stats that he does. She doesn't have the wave clear that Ziggs does, the consistent wave clear and the consistent poke that Ziggs does. So Ziggs is in the wrong hands right now, in my opinion, for Team AMAM. Now we have as the second 2 picks, Swift taking his Volibear. We've seen Swift on his Volibear before, and we've seen some really awesome games from him, and that's another pick that I actually don't mind coming out here from Team Villain, because they're going back to their own playstyle. I love the teams in the Draft Labs Tournament Series that have their own playstyles and then want to kind of change our meta with their playstyles. Now, some teams go a little bit too deep into it. You know, some teams are a little bit are way out there, and I've you know, I've recommended to them that they kind of bring it back into the meta and then go out from there. Team Villain, they're right there. They're right on the cusp. They pick good champions, then they go back into a couple of their own little pocket picks, and then they come back in the meta sometimes for the last pick. So I really like these 2 from them. By the way, it's also going to be an Ashe for Captain. And the last 2 lock-ins, wow, the last 2 lock-ins from AMAM are going to be, this is a, whoa, this is a strong squad that these guys are bringing. These guys are not messing around today. We have Kog'Maw and Janna. Now, I told you that with the Blitzcrank ban, I expected that they were going to bring something similar, you know, kind of like an off-brand composition, maybe try some new things on this squad that they don't think maybe has the skill that they do. They probably think, I don't necessarily think this is going to be an easy game, because that VN tag on all 4 members of Team Villain's names, their tags or their summon parameter names, whatever, that's pretty intimidating. I'm not going to lie. When these guys join up one after another, like 3 seconds, they all get in the lobby, and they're just there so fast, they're all ready to go, they're super hyped, that's kind of intimidating. And Team AMAM, they do the same exact thing, so this is why this is a match that I've been looking forward to for so long. Now we do have Team AMAM's finalized chart here on the board, and now we're going to be getting our last pick in, which is VN Raven taking his Nidalee. Oop, that's not how you spell Nidalee. There we go. Nope, that's still not how you spell Nidalee. My goodness. There we go. So there's our finalized chart for Team Villain as well. This is our finalized charts all around the board. Team AMAM, they've gotten themselves exactly the style of composition that they want. They're very left side heavy. They basically got all 4 of those left sided traits with only the slightest little emphasis on nuke. They do not need any engage. This is a very well thought out build from Team AMAM. If you are building all left side heavy stats with an emphasis on disengage, you do not need to bring in that engage. It doesn't need to be there because your team is going to be playing extremely defensively. You're most likely not going to be going forward and wanting to make engages very often. So that engage stat will kind of go unused. So they just simply didn't really bring any of it in. There is a little bit there, but it's coming from just random things across the board. You know, each champion on their team brings at least a little bit of engage stats because they can run at the enemy team. They can close gaps like that. But this is a negligible engage stat here from them. But they do have the burst damage on top of it as well to help them create picks and to help them get kills throughout the game. So this is kind of a perfect composition coming out here from Team AMAM. If anybody's taking notes right now, this is the type of comp you want to build if you want to win games outright in the style that Team AMAM has done so many times in the past. For Team Villain, they've come out with something that hasn't brought quite the potency that Team AMAM has. You can see the 5.39 coming out from AMAM in their comp score, 4.86 from Team Villain, a decent bit lower here, but 5.39 is super high. Like, this is a power squad coming out from Team AMAM. This is a scary squad, I'm not going to lie to you, but I'm still confident in Team Villain. I think they're going to bring out something just obscure enough to be able to take advantage of Team AMAM's their lack of experience playing against these obscure compositions. These guys are almost always playing against teams in a dam. They're almost always playing against teams that do in fact play this same exact composition. It's always disengage and poke versus disengage and poke because that's the most winning play style. Team Villain here, they have a chance to break that open with this very symmetrical squad. They've still got an emphasis on the left side, but it's just very symmetrical in the fact that they brought just as much engage as disengage, so they still can do it. They still can disengage or engage. Only problem is here, and I wouldn't necessarily say it's a big problem, but the only issue that could arise is that it's going to take a lot of coordination because those disengage stats are coming from 1, maybe 2 champions. We'll say 1.5 champions. Those engage stats are coming from 1.5 champions. Nuke stats from 1.5 champions. Everything isn't necessarily global, and they have to have all 4 members alive if they truly want to take advantage of this symmetrical composition. I have no doubts in their ability to synergize and to play with each other well enough and to coordinate team fights and actually come out on top. But what I can tell you is that this is going to be a tough composition to do that with, considering that everybody needs to be alive and you're playing against a squad that is going to excel so much at taking out one member. They can easily target, I wouldn't say easily, but they can definitely target out one person and then change their place. This is Team AMAM, by the way. AMAM can target out one person on Team Villain and can snipe them down and can take them out and execute them, and specifically with the intentions of removing that one trait from this chart and that one style of play from their composition. And that's something that we can totally expect Team AMAM to do. So as of right now, with the team compositions, you can see the comp scores. I would put my money on Team AMAM because they've gotten their standard composition. They've gotten pretty much everything exactly the way they wanted. They got their Varus, they got their Kog'Maw, and they got the Janna as well, which ended up going through. This is the 3rd time, maybe, I think the 2nd or 3rd time we've seen Team AMAM play Janna here. It's time the teams start getting the memo. They need to start banning that out, like right away. And that's really where, I don't want to say that's where this would be lost for, and I like I said, I still have lots of confidence in Team Villain, but it's difficult to say, it's difficult for me to determine where they're going to be able to capitalize here against Team AMAM, because Team AMAM plays flawlessly on these styles of composition. So we're just going to have to see how this one ends up playing out. Now, what I'm looking at right now, and I hope you guys are looking at it as well, let me check it out. Ah, yes. We were looking at the skin game, and I see a Butterfly Kog'Maw. You gotta give the Butterfly Kog'Maw that skin MVP, you guys. Gotta give that Butterfly Kog'Maw the skin MVP, because that is an awesome skin. And that was a skin that was actually a good value, too, when it came out, because it had a model It had a model update, a model upgrade, you could say. There we are, you guys. We've loaded on the Howling Abyss. It had a model upgrade as well as a movement upgrade, I think you would say. The way he flutters every few steps, that is awesome. That is a good skin for the money, you guys. This is the Draft Labs Tournament Series, match 1 of our first set of the day, featuring Team AMAM and Team Villain. Team Villain on blue side there, much slower off the gun than Team AMAM. Raven's going to be the first one there, but he's on that super mobile Nidalee. If he face checks this, he's going down. There it is. There's that first blood. Easy first blood over the Team AMAM. Team Villain not respecting the fact that Team AMAM are always so quick off the gun. Once again, this goes into that idea that I mentioned that Team Villain might not have researched this squad, and I don't necessarily think they had time today to do the research because I didn't let them know that they were playing until the last minute, and once again that was another reason why I thank them so much. But you know, still, we have those VODs up online. It would do Team Villain well in the future to go in and watch some of those VODs and do some research on the other teams and the way they play. You can see how much consistent harassment is coming out from Team AMAM. I mean, these guys are taking the level 3 by force. So many members of Team Villain low already. You can see the team healths double for Team AMAM than what Team Villain are holding right now. And this is difficult. The times you see Team AMAM getting this much damage off of the very first wave is almost always a victory for them, because they know how they're a team that plays to this. This is a team that plays to this advantage where they take an early lead and they can hold on to it. They know how to hold on to it for dear life and never let it go. So their early control and early wave clear lead is going over in favor of Team AMAM. This is another thing that plays right into their playstyle, but Team Villain, they've always been a counter-aggressing team. They've always been a team that played extremely well under duress here, but they've never been this much under duress at the beginning of a game. And this first tower might end up falling here after the first few waves. This could be one of the earliest first towers we've ever seen here in the Draft Labs Tournament Series. That is going to be the case. 2 minutes and 30 seconds exactly. The first tower falls in favor of Team AMAM, while Team Villain are still low. This is an unfortunate occurrence for Team Villain because things like that will happen. They were left so low that the only thing they can do is go back and turtle under their inhibitor. But they need to defend this somehow. It would be in their best favor to simply run in, fight, and die, to be honest, because their death timers are still low enough and they're already pushed back to their second tower that they would be able to get back and defend. They simply need to get those health bars up to snuff as quickly as possible. So Ashe playing backwards like this, it isn't necessarily going to be very easy for them to do so, but they have to fight. They have to distract Team AMAM, or else things like this are going to happen. Team Villain, they're not necessarily losing this game right now. They're conceding it. They're giving the game away to Team AMAM. They have full health bars right now. It's only a level 4 to level 5 disadvantage. Gross Pigeon, no ultimate. Eric L, no ultimate. No ultimates across the board. There's been good times to fight. Team Villain just haven't necessarily jumped on top of it. Guinness World Record. I don't know, man. I don't know. Team AMAM are looking for a Guinness World Record in a victory time. We're 3.5 minutes in. The inhibitor's already being shoved, you guys. This is a tough game to watch. Swift, he wants to go in. He gets the flip onto Gross Pigeon. The bind does not land, but Swift is making some decent moves in the backline. He does end up getting taken down there while, Wolf moves forward. There's finally the ultimate coming out from Gross Pigeon. This is why I mentioned this aggression needed to come out earlier, before this level 6 advantage came out in favor of Team AMAM, because that was the turning point of this game, in my opinion. That Janna ultimate coming at that specific moment. It took pretty much all the potential for Team Raven to make Team Villain to make a comeback here. Away, there might be a nice catch on a rare candy, but they're already pushed so far forward. He's going to be able to make it back in order to keep on aggressing later on. This is a nice 2 versus 3, and Swift is keeping Gross Pigeon at bay pretty well, but he should be focusing down Eric L and trying to take him out. Right now, he's not even 1v1ing Gross Pigeon, and Gross Pigeon doesn't even have any mana, so Swift, without the damage, but has the crowd control to be able to keep Eric at bay, but Eric ended up taking out a member of Team Villain in the meantime. He does give up the shutdown over over to Lux there. Lux getting a little bit of extra gold from that, and Swift picks up the kill onto Gross Pigeon as he ends up giving that gold away as well. This is all calculated suicides here from Team AMAM. They knew that they have what is a Wolf making his way back. He's got Wave Clear, he's got Poke. He can hold all 4 members of Team Villain off most likely, while Janna and Ziggs end up making their way back here. Plus, Rare Candy's going to be coming in second with his long-range poke. His long-range damage is going to be able to harass Team Villain out even harder. This is a tough one to watch, you guys. I didn't expect it to be going this heavy-handedly in favor of Team AMAM this early. Thank you, Kitten. Thank you, Kitten. You're right. You're right. No negativity in the chat, you guys. No negativity in the chat. It's these games only last 15 minutes each anyway, and there's 3 matches in a set. Team Villain, these guys are a team that I have a lot of respect for, and losing like this to Team AMAM is not something that's never been done before. A lot of teams lose like this to Team AMAM. You just simply have to counter it out. There's another kill going over to favor What of the Wolf. He pops his ultimate. Team Villain, they might simply have to concede this game, in all honesty. I mean, it wouldn't necessarily be a terrible idea for them. They could concede this game, get into the next one, their bans are going to change, their strategy is going to change, and they're going to be able to have a chance, but as of right now, it's a little bit too heavy in favor of Team AMAM. They love these early leads. This is exactly where Team AMAM wants to be. You can see they're about to hit the level 9 power spike, while Team Villain are still down in level 6s, level 7s. It's an unfortunate occurrence, but this is not something that necessarily, you know, it just makes us jump and scream and shout when Team AMAM does it. This is how they play. If you can keep them at bay for the first 10 minutes of the game, then you can win the fight. As of right now, Team Villain, not enough wave clear to stop the siege, not enough early game kill potential to snag themselves picks, to take away that early game pressure from Team AMAM, and they lose this one out in 6 minutes and 30 seconds. Once again, you guys, I know you might not have seen this before, but take it from me. Take it from me. This is not something that is like just super crazy. Not something that's just super crazy and super like wild. This is how Team AMAM like to play, and this is the one thing they know how to do. You take this away from them, and they are really put on their back foot because these guys are on a level of their own, and they know how to do this every game. You find a way to take this away from them. Take this early game lead away from them. Step 1, get bush control early and buy your items really fast. Step 2, get blitzcrank. You know, there's a lot of ways to do it. But, you know, Team AMAM, they were kind of handed it this time. And this wasn't necessarily a bad thing for Team Villain, in my opinion. These guys, once again, a lot of respect for these guys, and I think that they have the adaptability. They are going to come back, and they're not going to be bummed about themselves. They're going to be mad. They're going to come back, and they're going to play really hard. We can't expect. So, GG, and congratulations to Team AMAM.